More than 700,000 electric customers in western Pennsylvania found themselves without power when those storms hit.
And in many cases, that outage lasted for days. And since then, sales of generators have really spiked. So our John Shumway is here to look at what the pros and cons are of getting one of these generators for your home. John.
Well, the biggest con is the initial expense. It can be substantial, but the pros are numerous and not always so obvious.
When the trees and power lines came down, the nightmare began again.
I know the average homeowner loses power 1.5 times a year, so there's never a good time to lose power.
A former utility worker, R.C. Watt, has been in the auxiliary power business for a long time and says since the April 29th storm,
We've actually received thousands of calls.
it sounds like a car or large mower starting up. And that's pretty much what it is, fueled by
A hydrocarbon fuel, natural gas, or propane.
Kicking on when it senses the loss of power. The generator keeps the home office working, as well as medical equipment, the air conditioner, and it saves the contents of that refrigerator.
And people have freezers full of food, so there's a lot of loss there with not having a backup generator.
And the price tag? Well, that depends on how much you need to power.
It comes down to how many refrigerators are we backing up, how many air conditioning units do you want to operate.
Yeah, and for the basics, we're talking about around $7,000 and up, depending on where you get it and other costs associated. So it really is quite an investment.
But like you were saying, really there is a loss if your power does go out and you have a lot invested in your refrigerator. So what about those smaller generators that you can get from like those home improvement or big box stores?
Yeah, many of the supplies in those stores were wiped out by this storm that we had the end of April. Now, the supply is rebuilding, and they are a lot cheaper. Again, depending on how much power you need. I mean, you can get one of those for $300 or $400, but they also run up to a couple thousand. And those temporary generators, you have to be very careful with them. Not only are you refueling them on a regular basis, you have to be careful about the exhaust. But if you're just trying to save the food in your refrigerator, you can run an extension cord off one of those and it will be very effective.
Yeah, I do feel like it depends on where you live. Sometimes I grew up in rural Armstrong County, and we were like always the last to get your power back. So that puts it in perspective. All right, thanks, John.
Sure.